This might be one of the most important videos I've ever made. I've pre-watched 1 minute of this, and I'm going to go back and re-record because this is very important to me. Let's talk about this.
This is most likely the only time I'm going to address these kinds of things. I want to be very clear that I am okay. All right. I want to be very clear.
In case you guys don't know, Madara-kun and Vshoujo have announced their parting ways.
This is not a pity party. I'm sorry that I'm sounding a little bit monotone. It's because I just woke up. Honestly, I'm just nervous because I don't want to say anything that's going to be taken out of context and then maybe considered, bad faith. And then it just adds a little bit of trouble. So.
Right. So bad faith, obviously referring to Vshoujo might be upset at her for an out of context clip, which is something that can happen. So right now she's really treading ice. And this is very important to note because I got into a lot of shit for saying this earlier.
For anybody that is not aware, Vshoujo and I have parted ways. So before we begin, when transitions like this happen, both parties have to be in agreement for what is said. And it was very important to me that my message was the way that it is. That's all I'm going to say about that.
So what she's saying is that she's in a non-disclosure or a non-disparagement agreement. And what this means is that Vshoujo essentially gets the okay on whatever it is she's going to say. They have to agree upon what she's going to say about her experience. Okay. Now, an NDA does not prevent the admission of crimes. So if Vshoujo or Madara-kun were to have committed crimes towards one another, they would be able to talk about it through an NDA because you cannot use an NDA to cover up a crime. There's a thing called the Speak Out Act, which prevents people from doing so. And that's very important to note because the internet always thinks you can do that. You cannot do that.
I believe that there's always, you can't really hide the truth in things like that. So things are always going to kind of come out, which is why I'm all right with my messaging, saying that Vshoujo parted ways with me. I don't feel ashamed for what happened. I don't think
this verbiage would lead me to believe, right? This is all assumptions. This is purely conjecture, right? This is not any concrete form whatsoever. This to me reads as Vshoujo let Madara-kun go, not that Madara-kun wanted to leave and Vshoujo agreed. This reads Vshoujo let her go. That's what I can assume. Now, she can absolutely speak on that, I believe, but that's what it reads to me.
I don't believe I did anything wrong. It just happens, it's
this extra reads that she got let go. Okay.
Stuff that happens, and it feels really, really weird to use this line, but it is business at the end of the day, correct?
It's just business.
Vshoujo has tweeted, "Dear community members, we want to share that after careful thought and consideration, we've made the difficult decision to formally part ways with Matara on May 5th, 2025. We're genuinely grateful for everything she's brought to Vshoujo and wish her the very best moving forward. Goodbyes are never easy, and we understand many of you deeply care about Matara as we do. The best way to support us both right now is with kindness, understanding, and respect for everyone's feelings and privacy during this transition. We're committed to our incredible talent, community, and the values we share. Thank you all for your empathy and continued support."
Now, let's talk about everything. This is pretty much the only information that I needed from this entire video, and everything else doesn't really matter. I'm going to tell you guys the cold, honest truth. Okay? So first of all, Madara-kun got let go from Vshoujo, is what it is. And now we can confirm the existence that the parties of members of organizations are underneath NDAs. And the reason why that's very important is because I always attempt to speak out on Gargura, talking about why it's important to have people outside of the space talk about the space, because if you don't, you are going to get a rose-tinted glasses of the reality of the situation. Every single member of these girls are underneath NDAs, right? This just means they can only talk in pretty language. And behind the scenes, things are a lot uglier, right? This is why I really wanted to talk more about the VTubing space. That, and I've been heavily involved with the VTuber community for about 4.5 years now. Here's what you guys need to know. And there's nothing wrong with this. I want to make this very clear. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being underneath an NDA. However, you guys just have to understand and learn how to read between the lines, because the girls are going to say things in a prettier way that you have to be like, okay, so they said this and this is what that means. And things can get pretty muddied pretty quick. But one, let more people talk about the behind the scenes things of these companies and industries. And I'm sorry to tell you guys this, but organizations for VTubing, they're scummy. They are. And I'm going to be real. They're worth short term, but they're not worth long term. And I'm going to explain to you why that is. As a guy, where I'm going to be real, I 1,000,000% considered opening up my own VTubing agency about 2 years ago. I'm not going to say why, but I did consider it because for real streamer orgs, the talent get paid a lump sum amount of money. They get a lot of free services and a lot of free guarantees and deals that they otherwise wouldn't get. I was an OTK for 2.5 years, 3 years. My contract expired. I decided to not renew, and here we are. Now, let's talk about the ugly truth on why a lot of creators should just, for lack of a better term, if you've made it, you should leave your org. Yep, you should. Absolutely. If a creator has been in an org for 2 years and they blew up, they should leave. 100%. And Matara-kun leaving Vshoujo is a massive W. Gargura leaving Hololive is a massive fucking W. And if you don't think so now, I'm going to explain to you why that is the case going forward. Okay, so let's talk about absolutely everything. Number one is the rule of diminishing returns. Now, what does that mean? Every single time you collab with a new creator, every single time you debut on a new platform, you are going to never get as much benefit or clout as you did since the first time. So after Matara-kun does one Mousy stream, a collab with Mousy, she might get 2,000 followers. Her second one, she might get 800. The third one, you might get 400. Out of the fifth one, you might get 100. This goes in law with every single creator on the platform, which is why a lot of creators will reach out to you, get the collab once, and then you'll never, ever see them again because they got that big initial boom, bada bing, bada boom. You got it, you scooped it, you're out of there. The biggest chance for the most benefit is the very first time. Now, let's talk about the other thing. For real streamer orgs, we get paid a salary, we get benefits, we get deals, we get extra help behind the scenes. For VTubing agencies, well, what do you get? Almost none of them pay you money. Almost none of them. Almost every org will say, you join us, and that's helping you. Because a lot of orgs, like Hololive, that is the case. Hololive is a VTubing agency where they give you an identity, they'll build you up, they'll build you a career, and then when you leave, they keep that identity. I think it's pretty scummy. I do. I think it's pretty scummy because at the end of the day, you're working in tandem. However, idol culture in Japan is the exact same way, so a lot of people let it go by the wayside, but me personally, I disagree with it. These people are these characters. You built these characters together. With them leaving, they should at least be able to keep their identity. That's my opinion. However, there also is a massive benefit because as long as these girls let it be known that they're graduating, but they're coming back soon, then they'll get a new debut for hopefully a new, better character, and they'll get the even increased audience of all the notoriety they built up in these companies, plus the initial burst from their debut. So that's the one thing that I don't like. There's a pros and cons. It's a gray area. One, they give you an identity that you both get to build up. But two, if you ever decide to leave, you're going to lose that identity. Vshoujo doesn't do this. You have to come in with your own identity. And I think that's great personally. It's not black and white. It's very gray. Now, let's talk about the other thing. A lot of these companies were also going to take revenue from the girls and their talent. They're going to take money from their subs. They're going to take money from their sponsors. And while a lot of ad agencies do that, where whenever they bring you a sponsor, they're going to take anywhere from 10 to 20% because without them, you wouldn't have got those sponsors. Having an additional cut that you lose on top of that just because you're part of the org, I think that's a little bit ridiculous. I think that's pretty shady, and I don't think that's something that you should do. I feel like the money that these creators make should be theirs. Now, if Hololive or Niji Sanji, these companies who give these girls their identity want to take a certain cut, well, sure, I can see how you might want to allow that, but I think the cut's a little bit too high. But for companies like Vshoujo, and obviously I can't speak on every company practice, and I'm going to say I'm not sure what any of these companies do, and I'm just merely speculating. But I think it's ridiculous where a company could say, yeah, we want some of your sub money. Yeah, we want some of your sponsor money. I think that's fucking ridiculous. So when these girls leave, one, they get a massive boost for their initial debut, and as long as they nail it, they'll have a career that will never be taken monetarily from ever again, and they have their own identity, and they have their own build structure for them to live on in perpetuity. I know graduations might seem sad for a lot of people, but you got to understand that don't be sad, be supportive. Be there the next time they go live. Assure them that no matter where they go, you will follow them. Whether Snuffy is a raccoon or an alligator or a frog or a hog, whatever they re-debut as, you'll be there. Obviously, Snuffy's an independent VTuber. She came to my mind because of her fucking massive fucking boobs have been on my fucking mind from her original model. I'm not gonna lie, that model's ridiculous. Gura, as long as you ensure Gura that whether she's a shark or a hawk or a snail or a frog, whenever she comes back, just let her know that you're not sad, you're supportive, and you'll always be there for them. Getting out of these agencies will always be the best thing, because then you get all of the money and all of the support goes directly to the creators that you want to support. And I think a lot of people will be much happier knowing that. When you go to a restaurant and you have a great experience with a waiter, don't you feel better when that tip goes directly to them rather than split amongst everybody in the entire restaurant? Well, the rest of the restaurant didn't provide you with that great waiting experience. Just this one waiter did. And that being said, I completely disagree with American tipping culture. I think it's fucking retarded. However, it's one of those things that are necessary because that's the way our society's been built on. And I don't know. I think it's fucking garbage, bro. I hate it. Anyways, just wanted to provide some clarity on why it's a great thing that Madara-kun is leaving VShojo and how independent VTubers are great and you should be happy. I mean, I'll be real. These girls, and I'm just going to be real. This is the uncomfortable truth. This is what every VTuber should do. Join an org, get clouded, leave. Because once you get the initial burst, there is no reason to be a part of these orgs ever again. Unless they're paying you hella stacks, right? Unless they're not taking shit from you, get the clout, get big, then leave. Brand loyalty is retarded. Company loyalty is fucking retarded. You got to understand I am very pro-consumer, very pro-creator, and I am just telling you the uncomfortable truth. These girls don't need these fucking agencies at all. They don't. They fucking don't. They do not. Do what Fillion's doing. Make these events yourself. Talk to Mythic Talent. They'll help you do that shit, and like, they're great. I'll be real. I honestly think every VTuber should be in Mythic Talent, by the way. Oh, here's a great thing. If you're a VTuber and you want to join Mythic Talent, DM me. I'll get you in immediately. Or any creator. I got you. Right? They're great. And they're willing to help creators. And you're pretty much not going to get anything more out of any other company than you'd get with Mythic regardless. And they're not going to fucking take your fucking sub revenue. Anyways, that's just my opinion. Don't be happy. Be supportive. I wish Madara-kun and Gargura nothing but the best. And I know they're going to do great. And I'll see y'all later. Like, comment, subscribe.